10 years of love shattered in one weekend. Her betrayal sparked his ultimate revenge. But what happens when the tables turn and the consequences hit harder than either of them expected? I never could have predicted the bombshell my wife of 10 years, Megan, dropped on me. It was Wednesday evening, and I just walked through the door after a grueling day at work. Megan greeted me with a warm smile but asked me to sit at the kitchen table for a serious conversation. My gut twisted. This feels like the start of something heavy, I thought, pulling out a chair. She started by reassuring me of her love, insisting she'd never do anything to harm our marriage. Her words, meant to soothe, only made me uneasy. "All right," I said cautiously, but before I could continue, she took a deep breath, cutting me off. I braced myself. This was going to be bad. "I love you and I want us to grow old together," she said. "But I've made a choice. I want to explore a physical relationship with someone else." Her words hit me like a punch to the chest. Stunned, I tried to wrap my head around it. "Let me get this straight," I said, my tone sharp. "You love me, you don't want to hurt our marriage, but you want to be intimate with another man?" She nodded, unfazed. "It's not quite like that. I've met someone I'd like to connect with physically. It would only happen occasionally, and I promise to always be honest with you. I love you enough that this won't change my feelings for you. If you truly love me, you'll let me do this because it's something I feel compelled to do." She flashed a confident smile, as if this was the most reasonable request in the world. Confusion and shock swirled in my mind. "I don't understand why you think you need this," I said, "and I can't see how it wouldn't wreck what we have. Have you already made plans with this guy?" Megan nodded. "We're tentatively planning a weekend getaway next week." Then she flipped the script, urging me to be honest. "How would you feel if I suggested you do the same?" she asked. I knew a truthful answer would set her off, but I tested the waters. "I'd be fine with it, as long as you swore it wouldn't hurt our relationship," I said, keeping my voice steady. Her eyes widened. "Oh, come on. You'd have flipped out if I even brought up something like that." I scoffed, and her surprise grew. "I honestly didn't expect you to react like this," she said. "I thought your love for me would let me explore something this important." I shook my head. "Whatever you're smoking, it must be illegal. Did you really think I'd just sit at home while you're off with some guy for the weekend? Maybe you didn't think this through." She hesitated, admitting, "You're right. I didn't consider everything, including my own feelings." I pressed her. "If I say no, will you still go through with it?" She looked uncertain. "I don't know. I never expected you to refuse." I sighed heavily. "We haven't thought this through properly. Here's the plan. Give me a few days to process. Let's sit down on Sunday afternoon and talk after I've had time to reflect." That night, feeling rattled and betrayed, I moved my belongings to the guest room. When Megan asked what I was doing, I told her I wasn't comfortable sharing a bed with someone who seemed more interested in another man. I shut the door firmly and spent a restless night plotting. If she went through with this, our marriage would be irreparably broken. The next day, I went to work but didn't speak to Megan. I called my boss, explained I needed the next 2 days for personal reasons, and got to work on my strategy. I bought 3 voice-activated recorders and placed them strategically, one near the phone, one in our bedroom, and one in her car. I also got a phone tap for our landline. Since our phone plan was in my name, I visited the cell provider and got a copy of her call records. Later, while she was at work, I dug into her email accounts and found one I didn't know about. The password was ridiculously simple, and what I discovered was revealing. She hadn't been physical with this guy yet, but the intent was clear. I set up her account to forward emails to me without a trace, and bought 2 discrete GPS trackers, slipping one into her wallet where she kept her cash and cards, and another into her car. It was a hectic day, but I had everything in place to monitor her. The only thing left was accessing her phone for messages, which I hoped to do later that evening while planting the GPS devices. Her emails revealed the guy was her coworker, Ryan Davis. They'd been exchanging messages, confirming their weekend plans regardless of my stance. That Friday, I met with a highly recommended divorce lawyer and told him to start proceedings, citing adultery and naming Ryan as the co-respondent. I showed him the emails and phone records, promising audio evidence soon. He was confident we had a solid case and began work immediately. When Megan got home that evening, I ignored her, ate dinner at a bar, and slammed the guest room door when I returned. Her only chance to save our marriage was to cancel her plans with Ryan, But I wasn't optimistic. I kept up the silent treatment all weekend until Sunday afternoon, when I decided it was time to talk. We sat at the kitchen table, and I laid it all out. "I'm not okay with your request," I said. "I've thought about it, and I can't come to terms with it. You say it won't affect our marriage, but it's already causing problems." I noticed her upset expression and added, "If you'd looked at this from my perspective, you might understand. I tried to see your side, but I can't find any positive outcome." I firmly declined her request. "How can you be so selfish when you claim to love me?" she snapped. I shot back, "If anyone's selfish, it's you, wanting to run off with someone else." She pushed back. "What happens if I go through with it anyway?" I warned her, "There'll be serious consequences for any extramarital relationship. 10 years ago, we vowed to be faithful." She stood her ground. "I understand, but this is something I need to do." I ended the conversation. "Then this discussion is over. You really need to think about this." I left the house, took my laptop to a Wi-Fi hotspot, and checked their emails. She was furious, but told Ryan she'd go anyway. He'd booked room 125 at the Hilton in Kansas City for Friday and Saturday nights. I immediately reserved the same room for Thursday to set up surveillance and booked a nearby room for the weekend to monitor them. They'd planned a romantic Saturday evening, dinner, dancing, and intimacy. Megan even mentioned buying new underwear for their date. I spent the next few days gathering equipment. 2 tiny fiber optic HD cameras to install in their room on Thursday. These would be perfect for my divorce proceedings. I ignored Megan completely, but Wednesday was her final chance. I invited her to the table and asked if she'd reconsidered. She confirmed her plans with Ryan, hoping we'd get past it. I sighed, giving her one last warning. "Don't throw away our marriage for this guy. There'll be consequences." She didn't budge. "You've chosen Ryan over me," I said, leaving the room and shutting the door with finality. It was clear our marriage was over, and someone would face the consequences. Thursday morning, I went to work and asked for the afternoon and Friday off to finalize my plans. My boss was sympathetic and gave me the time I needed. I drove to Kansas City, checked into their room, and set up the surveillance devices, ensuring the cameras were operational and aimed correctly. I tested their range by walking past the room, confirming everything was in place. Back home, I ran one last errand. I bought a small can of pepper spray to disrupt their romantic date. Megan tried to be friendly that night, but I told her to save it for Ryan and turned away. I slept restlessly, but everything was set for Friday. Friday morning, I left without a word, visited the lawyer, and signed the divorce papers. I asked for Megan and Ryan to be served at work on Monday afternoon, once I had all the evidence. I also planned to sue Ryan for alienation of affection. Megan's GPS showed she was at a hair salon, so I snuck into her suitcase and found her new lingerie. Undeniably attractive, but not for me. Wearing rubber gloves, I sprayed pepper spray on the crotch of her panties and bra cups, then returned them. It was going to be interesting. I went to the bank, closed our joint accounts, transferred the funds to a new account, and canceled our credit cards. Around 12:30, I headed home to say goodbye to my wife, knowing she was preparing for her new man. I found Megan upstairs, getting ready in lingerie I'd once given her. She looked stunning. New hairstyle, flawless makeup, alluring underwear. But it only deepened my sense of betrayal. "You look gorgeous," I said, my voice heavy with disappointment. "But it's a shame you're not doing this for me." She apologized, saying she just wanted to feel good about herself. I sighed. "You've always been beautiful to me. I thought you loved me as much as I loved you." I approached her and gently removed her wedding and engagement rings. "The wedding ring symbolized our vow to forsake all others," I said. "It clearly means less to you. The engagement ring was my mother's, and I'm keeping it for sentimental reasons." She looked shocked but didn't protest. "I won't be here when he arrives," I added, "but he's not allowed in my house. If he steps inside, I'll take serious action against him and ensure you regret it. He will not enter my home, got it?" She nodded. "Yes, I won't let him in." I warned her I'd be watching. "I hope this weekend is worth the consequences, Megan. Goodbye." She yelled after me as I left, but I was done. I parked down the street, watching. When Ryan arrived, Megan stepped outside with her suitcase, hugged him, and kissed him passionately. She shot me a smug grin as they drove off. I flipped her off, wiping that smirk away. Back home, I changed all the locks in the garage code, grabbed my suitcase, and headed to Kansas City. After checking in, I set up my laptop in my room to monitor the cameras. Megan and Ryan's intimate moment was laughably brief. Ryan was, let's say, underwhelming in every way. Megan's frustration was clear, and I couldn't help but laugh. She'd thrown away our marriage for this. He emerged from the bathroom naked, and I nearly choked laughing at how little he had to offer. Megan was used to far more than this guy could provide. They tried again, and her disappointment was palpable as he lasted mere minutes. By their third attempt, she was visibly frustrated, and I was enjoying the show more than I expected. This was turning out better than I'd hoped. I stepped out for dinner and drinks, letting the cameras record everything for the lawyer. When I returned, Ryan was fast asleep, and Megan looked utterly miserable. It was almost too perfect. As I went to bed, I grinned, thinking about how much fun I'd have turning Ryan's world upside down tomorrow. As the sting of losing my wife began to fade, I found myself thinking about the stunning women I'd noticed at the bar the night before. The realization hit me. I'd soon be free to pursue new connections. With that thought, I drifted off to sleep, a contented smile spreading across my face. The pain was gone. My course was clear, and I knew exactly where I was headed. When I woke up, I felt refreshed and ready to have a little fun. After a quick shower, I headed out for a hearty breakfast and grabbed some snacks in case I needed to stay holed up in my room. Back at the hotel, I called a local florist and ordered a bouquet for Megan, one that mirrored the ones I used to give her on our anniversaries. I wanted her to reflect on what she was throwing away. There'd be no more anniversaries for us. I asked for the flowers to be delivered at 11 in the morning. The timing didn't matter too much, but it turned out to be perfect. Megan and Ryan had stepped out for a bit, but when they returned, they dove back into their so-called romantic escapades. They were barely getting started, both naked, when a knock at the door interrupted them. The florist delivered the bouquet, and Megan's face shifted from contemplative to furious. She grabbed her phone and dialed my number. My cell rang, and I answered with a casual, "Hello, how's it going?" Her voice was tight. "Not great. My husband's off with another guy, and I'm getting angrier by the minute," I chuckled. "Why do you care? I got a bouquet just like the ones you used to give me on our anniversary. What are you up to?" I leaned into the sarcasm. "I'm not sure why you'd think I sent those. First, you and your genius boyfriend kept me in the dark about your plans. Second, if I had sent flowers, they'd be ragweed, addressed to my cheating wife. Not exactly sweet, is it? But then again, neither is your little fling with Ryani. Maybe those flowers will remind you of what you're tossing aside." Her expression, caught on the camera, was one of shock. I switched off my phone as she tried calling back. She dialed again and again, but I ignored her. Eventually, she gave up and told Ryan what I'd said. He brushed it off, assuring her I'd get over it. Fat chance. My plan was to get rid of her for good. Megan wasn't in the mood for intimacy at first, but she slowly gave in to Ryan's persistence. That's when I decided to up the ante. I ordered her favorite pizza and had it delivered to their room. Just as Ryan was getting back into his groove, the delivery arrived. He was livid, refusing to pay, but the delivery guy confirmed the room number and Ryan's phone number, even threatening to call the police. Grudgingly, Ryan paid up. Since they'd shelled out for it, they ate the pizza. After lunch, they chatted for a bit, but Ryan's hormones took over and he went after her again. Right as things heated up, I called a sandwich shop and ordered Megan's favorite sandwich for delivery. About a minute into their latest attempt at intimacy, the sandwich arrived. When Megan saw it, her face fell. She knew I'd figured out their location. Ryan was stunned, but she spilled the beans, guessing I'd hacked her new email account where she'd mentioned their plans. "He's clever," she told him. "It wouldn't have been hard for him to do." They decided to get dressed and head out for a while, planning to return, freshen up, and get ready for their big romantic date. She promised Ryan she'd make it up to him that night. I was laughing so hard I had tears in my eyes. When they returned, they showered and got dressed. Megan slipped into her new lingerie, giving Ryan a little show. He tried to make a move, but she insisted they stick to their date plans. I wondered how long it would take for my pepper spray surprise to kick in. She finished getting ready, looking stunning, and I hoped my plan would deliver the chaos I'd envisioned. They left for their date, and I settled in, eagerly awaiting their return. About an hour later, Megan rushed into the bathroom for a shower. When she emerged, her breasts and crotch were bright red, clearly painful. Little Ryanie wasn't getting any action that night. Megan was crying on the bed when Ryan tried to get frisky. She snapped at him, saying she was in pain and not interested. blaming an allergic reaction to her new lingerie. Little did she know the truth. I spent the evening organizing my video footage, burning DVDs for my lawyer and Ryan's wife. With everything set, I called it a night, grinning ear to ear. Trouble was brewing in their paradise, and I was the mastermind behind it. Sunday morning, I got up and drove home. Megan was in for a world of trouble when she returned, but by Monday, it would all be over. Later that day, Ryan dropped her off without even walking her to the door. Just let her out and drove away. I was lounging on the couch glued to a football game when she walked in. "I'm home," she announced. I barely grunted in response. She stepped in front of the TV, flashing a sultry smile. "I thought you'd be glad to see me, considering I'm not dead." I raised an eyebrow. "What gave you that idea? Did you think I'd suddenly turned into an idiot?" She insisted she didn't think I was foolish, just that my love for her was strong enough to get past this. I laughed coldly. "I loved you with everything I had, but that changed when you left with another man despite my begging. I poured my heart out, and it meant nothing. Once you walked out with him, I stopped caring if you ever came back." She looked stunned. "I can't believe you feel that way about me." I nodded firmly. "Believe it. You made a massive mistake." She asked if there was any chance we could move forward, promising to do anything to fix things. I smirked. "Oh, sure. Get on your knees and beg." She protested, saying she couldn't do that. "Exactly," I said. "I knew you wouldn't, which just proves your promises to save our marriage are as worthless as your vow of fidelity 10 years ago." She claimed she'd been thinking of me all day and wanted to make love that night. I scoffed. "You need me? Not happening. Did little Ryani use protection when you were with him?" She shook her head. "No, he's married, and I can't have kids." I pressed her. "You think you're the only one he's been with? As far as I'm concerned, you're damaged goods. I won't touch you until you get a clean bill of health from a doctor, and I don't do seconds." She snapped. "Right. I'm going to use a condom to sleep with my own wife after she spent the weekend with some loser? Screw you!" I fired back. "You chose little Ryani over me. I'm heading out. I can't stand looking at your cheating self tonight. You can sleep in the guest room. I'm taking the master bedroom. Unlike you, I didn't do anything wrong. We'll talk tomorrow after you get back from work." She muttered, "I'm not sure what's left to discuss." I left for a nearby bar and grill to eat and clear my head. My mind was already crystal clear. I knew exactly what I was doing. I just needed space from her. I don't drink much, so I had dinner and took a long walk. When I got home, Megan was in my bed. I shot her a stern look. "Get out of my bed." She argued, "This is our bed. I have as much right to it as you do." I laughed bitterly. "The hell you do. You gave that up when you got involved with little Ryani. Get out or I'll toss your stuff on the street." She started crying, slowly left the room, and I locked the door behind her. I could hear her sobs down the hall. The next morning, I ignored her completely. We ate breakfast in silence and she left for work at her usual time. As she turned to go, she said, "I love you." I gave her a cold, scornful look. "I loved you too. Past tense." Tears welled in her eyes as she walked away. Once she was gone, I started packing her things into garbage bags. Then I called Ryan's wife, whom I'll call Megan too, for clarity. I asked if she knew her husband had spent the weekend with my wife. She thought he'd been on a business trip. When I offered to share my evidence, she was eager to see it. When she opened her door, I was stunned. She was absolutely gorgeous. I stammered, apologizing for my reaction, blaming it on her striking beauty, which was true. We got down to business, and I explained the weekend's events. Megan, too, was livid, so we agreed she'd come with me to my lawyer's office to see if he'd take her case. The attorney agreed to represent her, even offering us a discount. Megan, too, started filling out paperwork while I talked to the lawyer. I asked if I needed to delay serving Ryan to protect her case, but he assured me that as long as she signed first, she'd be fine. Megan. Tu and I went to lunch while her divorce papers were prepared. After she signed them, I dropped her off and headed home to wait for Megan's call. Around 3 in the afternoon, my phone rang. She sounded distraught. "What the hell is this? I was just served divorce papers and Ryan got papers about being sued for something." I replied calmly. "It's pretty straightforward. I warned you there'd be consequences for your weekend. You didn't take me seriously." She protested. "I didn't think you'd actually go through with it." I shot back, maybe you should have listened to me instead of believing everything little Ryani said. Let's not do this over the phone. We'll talk when you get to my place. I hung up, grabbed her garbage bags, and tossed them into the front yard, knowing I was recording everything in case I needed evidence for a restraining order. When Megan pulled into the driveway and saw her belongings scattered across the lawn, she lost it. She screamed incoherently, spit flying as she vented her rage. I stayed calm, eventually cutting in. If you want to talk, sit down so we can have a civil conversation. Otherwise, I'll load your stuff into your car and you can leave. She sobbed. I never thought you'd do this to me. I replied firmly. Do this to you? You foolish woman, you did this to us. I warned you, begged you not to destroy our marriage, but you chose to anyway. Why would you think I wouldn't file for divorce? She whimpered. You said you loved me. I admitted. I loved you more than anything, but you broke my heart. You didn't love or respect me. I can't live with someone who thinks so little of me, even if I still care about you. She asked, why do you keep calling him Little Ryani? I grinned. I had cameras in your room, capturing everything. When I saw his pathetic package, I couldn't stop laughing. I wondered if you could even feel that. I also noticed you weren't enjoying yourself like you did with me. She admitted, we made love, and I'll probably miss it. I offered a different take. Look at it this way. You're free to be with whoever you want now. A different guy every night if you like. She shook her head. I don't want that. I want you. Only you. I suggested we go inside and sit for a bit. I'm sorry for my harsh words, I said. I'm dealing with a lot of anger, but I'd never physically hurt anyone. The same can't be said for little Ryani. We sat at the kitchen table, like we had countless times before. It hit me that this would be our last time like this. She asked, you wouldn't really hurt Ryan, would you? I replied, why not? He destroyed our happy marriage. He should pay more than just a lawsuit and divorce. Speaking of, he's not getting divorced. Her eyes widened. What? His wife agreed to this? I explained. I spoke with his wife this morning and shared my evidence. He told her it was a business trip. They're with the same lawyer now, and we got a discount. She sighed. I wish you'd been honest. I laughed. How would you react if I wanted to be with another woman? You'd have lost it. Ryan knew his wife wouldn't agree. I doubt you believe me even now, and that's one reason we're done. Honestly, I don't care what you believe. Call him later. You'll find he's been kicked out too. She asked, so you're really kicking me out? I nodded. Yes. The night you told me your plan, I moved to the guest room and knew within an hour I wanted a divorce. On Thursday, I bought surveillance equipment and hacked your email. On Friday, I started the divorce process with the lawyer. She pleaded, why didn't you tell me? I might have reconsidered. Is there any chance you'd forgive me? I shook my head. Megan, I loved you so much that forgiveness might have been possible, but you blew your last chance last night. I could forgive you, but I'd never trust you again. I'd always wonder when you'd want someone else. I can't live like that. It's better to end it now. She broke down in tears. I continued. I've thought this through, and I keep coming to the same conclusion. I'm divorcing you, and I'm making little Ryani pay for wrecking my marriage. Call him if you want to crash with him or something. Don't try using your credit cards. I canceled them. I left half our checking account for you, but my name's off it. I'll split our savings. You can keep your car, but you'll handle the payments. Take your clothes and personal items. Once you find a place, you can take furniture, but the house is mine. If I sell it, I'll split the proceeds. It's all in the divorce papers. If you fight it, I'll use all my evidence, and it won't end well for you. I don't want to go there, but I will if I have to. She sighed. I won't fight it. This is my fault. I just wish I could undo it. Trying to lighten the mood, I said, Hey, do you know the difference between a cheating wife and a light bulb? Confused, she asked, No, what's the difference? I grinned. You can't have a romantic fling with a light bulb. She didn't laugh. I told her it was time to go and escorted her out. As she watched, tears streaming down her face, I loaded her belongings into her car. When I was done, I opened her car door and handed her one last thing, her wedding ring, flattened with a hammer. It's just scrap gold now, I said. Sell it for a decent price. I closed the door, leaned in, and kissed her forehead. Goodbye, my love, I whispered, then turned and walked back to my empty house. I didn't watch her drive away. My eyes were too full of tears. I cried for another hour until I was emotionally spent. Then I started thinking about my options. First, I could drown my sorrows in booze, but I barely drink and hate the hangover, so that was out. Second, I could end it all, but I refused to give Megan that satisfaction. Third, I could hold my head high, knowing I'd done nothing wrong, and move forward. The silver lining was no more Megan, and that brought a smile to my face. Still smiling, I dialed Megan 2's number. We made plans for dinner that evening, and I felt a spark of healing. As I stood tall, I called her again to confirm our plans. I was on the path to recovery. Maybe we'd end up as friends, or maybe I'd find someone new, but Megan 2's image lingered in my mind. Thank you for listening. Please share your thoughts, like this video if you found it helpful, and subscribe for more.